It's great to have you with us, and today we are thrilled to have a returning guest, a person who truly embodies holistic health and well-being, and this person is very renowned for their transformative approach to mental, physical and also spiritual fitness. Fit for Living has become the premier personal training destination in Geelong. And today we are thrilled to have a returning guest, a person who truly embodies holistic health and well-being. Now renowned for their transformative approach to mental, physical and spiritual fitness, Fit for Living has become the premier personal training destination in Geelong. A visionary CEO of Fit for Living, Tim Leposa, will guide us through an essential cornerstone of fitness, strength training. We'll explore the key benefits of building strength, practical tips for beginners, and how to structure an effective weekly strength program. Tim will also share insights on the importance of rep, speed, and technique. Welcome back, Tim.
Thanks for having me again.
Wow. All superheroes today. Strength training up. Show us your guns.
Great topic.
So let's talk about the benefits. Other than looking amazing, what are some of the benefits of strength
So
training?
many benefits. Yeah. Probably the first thing is the functionality of our body. So our body is made up of bones and muscles and joints and everything. Obviously, the stronger that we are, the more that we can do in life. So whether it's pushing a wheelbarrow, or whether it's trying to reach something above our head, or whether it's squatting on the ground trying to pick something up, or whether it's climbing a tree or trying to get up some steps, we really need to make sure that our body's strong to be able to do that. So I guess that's first and foremost probably one of the most important things to be able to live everyday life as best as we possibly can is definitely a big one. I guess strength training is also important for longevity of life. So there's studies out there that prove that around 10 to 20% of more longevity for people that do strength training. So they did a study over a 13-year period of over 3,000 individuals, and they showed that the people that weren't strength training, they had a 10 to 20% more chance of mortality as well during that period. So strength training can obviously keep us living longer. I guess some of the other things which ties into longevity as well is it's going to prevent things like cancer and diabetes and helps with our metabolism as well. So having that strength and muscles is important for that reason. Yeah.
I think potentially that people in general might find strength training a bit overwhelming if they haven't done it before. Mm-hmm. What are some tips? What advice can you provide to those people that haven't started, want to, but they're sort of putting it off?
Yeah, good question.
They're a bit worried or scared or don't know what to do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think first thing that we want to do is where are we at, like age-wise as well. So if we are elderly, like if you're around that 60 to 65 range, you probably should consult a doctor first just to get a clearance on whether you're okay to do exercise, and speak to them about what you're planning to do as well, or what you'd like to do, or what they would recommend. So definitely that would probably be one of the first things to do. I guess another thing as well is if we're starting out doing some exercises, we probably want to start off slow. So we don't want to try and do too much to begin with, and also I guess focusing on technique wise and our form. Yep. So if we're not doing things correctly, there's more chance of us getting injured. So therefore you might need that extra help from someone else, or it might be a personal trainer or an exercise physiologist, or it might be looking online, looking at some YouTube, some professionals as well, showing how to do those exercises correctly. So it's really important to make sure through that first period of exercise, if we haven't done it before, is like, how do I actually exercise? Because it is a skill, like in terms of what you're doing. Like when we're doing a movement, we're trying to target a specific group of muscles. So for example, if we're doing a squat, we're trying to target our quads, and we're trying to target our glutes and our hamstrings and our calves. So we want to make sure that they're the muscles that are being used during a squat. If we haven't got the right technique, so like let's say if we're bending over in a squat, what's going to end up happening is we end up using more of our lower back rather than our legs. So it's important to know, how to do the exercises correctly. when we're starting off as well. So I really focus on technique. And then, like I said before, it's just starting off slow. So not doing as much frequency. So we don't want to start off by doing 10 different, work on doing 10 sets of each muscle group. Yeah, it might be a bit too much to start off with. You're going to fatigue a lot more. Your recovery is going to be, take a lot longer to do it. So you want to probably also have more days off in between. This exercise is what we call a frog squat, and it's a really great exercise because we're using different joints. We're using our hips, we're using our knees, and we're using our ankles. And the other benefit of this as well is that we're not only strengthening, we're also stretching these muscles at the same time. So with this one, what we want to do, you can do it with me, is we want to keep your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width with these and keeping your toes pointing out. Then what we want to do is we want to keep the back of our arms on the inside of our thighs. So we're like that. And you want to push your knees out there as well. So then what we're doing, we're trying to squat down and you're keeping your head up. Spine stays straight. So everyone's going to have a different range. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go bum to the sky. And so we're stretching out our hamstrings. So you should be able to feel that in the back of the legs. So we're going, back down again. So probably want to go like 2 to 3 seconds for each. And then coming back up again. Great. So remember to keep those knees going outwards. Find your range. Coming back up again. Great.
Wow, I can feel that.
Awesome.
That's so sensible and something that's really close to my heart, what you just mentioned with all of that, and especially having some, an assessment or supervision, having someone look. Because my son, he's was 16, went to the gym. They didn't do an assessment or anything. They just let him go in. He went nuts because he had some weight that he wanted to get off and he wanted to get strong. Went nuts at the gym and ended up in hospital with a thing called rhabdo.
Wow.
Where his muscle tissue actually broke down, his arms swelled, put an incredible issue on his kidneys, ended up a week in hospital.
Wow.
Thank goodness didn't have any permanent kidney damage, but that could have happened. All because he didn't do it properly. And then learning his lesson, eventually went back, did exactly what you suggested, Tim, had an assessment, did things under supervision. And now he's looking amazing. He's fit. He's getting a lot stronger. And it did something, I think, for him that was really important, which was confidence. Because when they had the confidence and then the respect of not only why he was wanting to exercise, but the importance of doing it properly, just set a really important precedence for him. And it's made him take his health a lot more seriously. And so I think, something like that, Tim, you don't want to have people, especially if they're a bit older, having those kinds of situations.
That's right.
It also helps improve your self-esteem. You work with someone, like a personal trainer, and you can see progress. You're motivated to continue, but also build your self-esteem.
Exactly.
It's very important, especially at that age.
And so find someone like Fit for Living that's very reputable in what they do, with strength training in particular, because it is important.
And I like that you mentioned the part about the assessment. And that's something that, we do with all of our clients, is we do an assessment to assess where their body's at. So most people won't know, I guess, like the issues that they've got in their body. So they might have tight muscles, they might have muscle imbalances, or they might have weak muscles. So it's important to really find out what are the issues that you've got in your body so that you can address those things as well. Because if you go into the gym, or if you start running or trying to do some other body weight exercises and you're doing it with tight muscles or muscles that are really weak, there's a potential that you can injure yourself as well. So having that assessment helps you identify what muscles need addressing. So what muscles do I need to strengthen? What muscles do I need to stretch and release? So that's one of the first things that really want to be able to have a look at. And then as we work on, I guess, those rehabilitation exercises as well, we open up the range of being able to do more exercises in the future as well. And then we're going to prevent ourselves from getting injured. And if we do get injured, it's a setback, and it's hard for people to jump back on the horse sometimes, and then you're coming up with more complications and more obstacles as well. So you want to I guess, start off safely, have that assessment, go, all right, where's my body at the moment? What are the issues that I've got? And then, start to put together a bit of a program after that as well.
Can we talk a little bit about the importance of building lean muscle and not losing that as well as you age? You naturally lose that.
Yeah, that's right. Even after the age of about 30, if we're not doing any strength training, and then, our muscles start to deteriorate. So we're going to make sure that we're keeping that muscle on our body. So having muscle on our body is important for, lots of different reasons. As we mentioned before, we're going to be stronger if we have more muscle tone on the body. It's also going to really help with other things like your balance of your body. It's also going to help you from preventing yourself from falls, and we don't really want to fall down, especially if we're elderly as well.
That's such a key topic, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Fall prevention is so relevant, so important.
That's right. And if we have more muscle there as well, it's going to be protecting our bones and our ligaments and joints as well. So even if you did have a fall, there's less chance of you breaking a bone or fracturing something. So we want to make sure that we continue to have that muscle on our body, and also knowing what to do as well to increase that muscle, which I can talk about as well. I guess if we are looking to increase our muscle, then I guess we need to learn about like how does a muscle work. So when we work a muscle, so when we're strengthening a muscle, we're taking it through a movement, so that muscle is like contracting and releasing. So we want to get it to a point where it becomes challenging or hard for that muscle to move anymore. What actually happens there is there's like tiny tears that happen in the muscle. Sounds pretty bad, but it is okay.
That's why we get so sore.
Yeah, that's right. So then the muscle will repair, and then it grows as well. So we want to be able to do something that's going to be challenging enough as well. But if we're starting out, we don't want to go too hard too soon. We want to be able to have a few reps in reserve, I guess, as well.
And strength training helps with the building muscle.
That's right. Yep. So there's probably no other way that you can, build muscle. So you can eat as much protein as you like, but if you're not actually causing that resistance in the muscle, then the muscle's not going to grow. So the other thing I forgot to mention there as well is that the muscle also adapts to situations like our body does that. So if we put our body in a position where something is difficult, the way that the body is going to respond is it gets stronger, the muscle gets bigger for it to be able to then lift heavier things later on as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Probably a bit like for us, Giselle, when we have babies, they started these light little newborns and they gradually get heavier over time. So you're almost doing unconscious weight training, aren't you?
So true.
Right.
With littlies. But the thing I've noticed too with strength training is you start off in the gym and you do, a few reps and then you start to feel the burn. So what does that mean, Tim, when you start to feel that burning sensation in your muscles? Is that when it's time to maybe take a rest or stop, or is that a good thing?
That's when it's time to continue and push through.
Yeah, some people push through.
Yeah, it depends who you are. Yeah, that's right. Well, it means you're doing the right thing if you're getting to that point and you're starting to feel that burn. If you feel like you can't get any more out, then that's what you're probably getting to that good point. So that's we do want to be able to get to that. There is a difference, I guess, like in terms of like if it's another pain, like if you're starting to feel a pain in the joint or something, it might be different. You might want to stop the exercise as well. But that's where I guess if we go back to having that initial assessment to start off with to see if you have any injuries, and we want to make sure. I was also going to say before, like in terms of if we are starting out exercise, like we want to probably focus more on full body workouts. So like you might be looking to do probably like aiming to probably two strength sessions per week is ideal. So there are actually studies out there that prove that there are benefits of doing one session of strength training a week. There's even more benefits if you're doing it twice a week. It starts to decrease if you're doing it less than that, and it actually starts to have more of a negative effect if you start to do it more than 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh, really?
As we age. So that's why it's good to mix up that bit of cardio exercise as well as strength training as well. Yeah. But I think if we focus on doing full body workouts to start off with, that's probably the best thing. And then really trying to work all the different muscle groups in that workout.
Yeah.
So just to give you a bit of an example of a workout program that you could do. So like first thing, if we're focusing on our legs, so an exercise which is a functional one, which is a squat. So that'll be a great exercise for legs to be able to do. Then if we're focusing on like our chest and our tricep muscles, doing either a push-up or a bench press is another good exercise to be able to do if you do have a bench at home, but otherwise push-ups can be done anywhere. Mm-hmm. If you are starting out as well, you might not be able to do a proper push-up on your toes. So a regression might be doing that on your knees, or otherwise, even if that's too hard, it might be leaning up against the wall, like on a bit of an angle. So doing some wall presses as well would be another one. So that's working our chest and our triceps. Then we've also got our back. So what we can do is we can do a banded row, or if we're at a gym, we can do a seated row, or a lat pull down. And then we're also using our biceps during that as well. So that's your back and your biceps. And then the other thing as well is our core. So you might do something where it could be a plank. So a plank's probably an easy exercise to do. It's probably a little bit more safe. If you were to do crunches and you've got lower back pain or lower back issues, that's probably not a great exercise to choose. Whereas doing a plank's probably going to be something that might be a little bit more safe. Even for some people who do have a bit more severe back pain, they might struggle even to do a plank on their toes. So they might do it on their knees, and there's less pressure on the back there as well. This exercise is what we call the plank. So what I want you to do is we're going to get down to the mat. Yep. We're going to try this with our elbows on the ground. So I want you to put your elbows there on the ground in front of you. You want to keep your elbows in line with your shoulders. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to bring your hips off the ground. So we're going to try and keep a nice flat plank position. So we're going to get up on our toes. Yep. All right. So with this exercise, it's basically just trying to hold it for as long as we can. So I want you to bring your hips down a little bit lower there. Yep. Great. All right. So we should feel a little bit of a contraction there in the abs as well as we're doing that. And the goal of this exercise is just to try and hold it for as long as you can, but just remember to make sure that you breathe through the exercise as well. Yep. So another variation of a plank that we can do, because working on your elbows and your toes is probably one of the hardest ways to be able to do a plank. So the next variation is just like you are now. So we're on our hands, keeping those in line with your shoulders, and then we'll get those feet back out again. Yep. So if we get your back, so if we're on your toes, yep, bring your hips up off the ground. So that's one variation. The next variation then is if we bring our knees to the ground now. So that's the next variation that we can do to make it even a little bit easier as well.
And planks do a lot of muscles too at once, don't they? And your core, which is like really important.
That's right. So it's working those inner core muscles, but you're also working the shoulders a little bit as well, which is, I guess, that last one, which is a shoulder exercise, which we do get to use our shoulders a bit when we are doing the push-ups or a bench press, but doing a dumbbell shoulder press or a barbell shoulder press or using a band, so reaching over the top of our head. So these are all exercises that are functional as well. So they're things that we're going to do in everyday life. And these exercises are also multi-joint, so they're like a compound movement. So a compound movement is where we're moving two joints at once. So for example, if I'm doing a shoulder press, I'm using my elbow and I'm using my shoulder joint there as well. If I'm doing a squat, I'm using my hips, I'm using my knees, I'm using my ankles. So what happens there is we're actually using a lot more muscle during that movement as well. So therefore, we don't have to train for as long if we're doing that. We can get a lot more done in a shorter period of time as well.
Efficient.
Yeah. But I'd say, definitely if we're doing those full body workouts, probably good to have a bit of a rest in between. So if you are doing 2 workouts a week, you probably want to have a day off in between, particularly if you are starting out. So this exercise is a push-up. A lot of people obviously use this during their workouts. So what I'm going to get you to do is to, first of all, jump down on the mat there. And we're going to try and do a knee push-up here. So what I want you to do is, so move your body forward. The first thing we need to remember to do is we want to keep our hands wider than shoulder width apart. The further we put our hands apart, then the more chest that we're going to be able to use, but we don't want to have it too far apart. Otherwise, it's going to have a bit of an effect on our joints. So keeping the shoulder also in line with the wrist. So I want you to come forward a little bit. Yep. And now what I also want you to do is, instead of crossing those legs, move those knees back a little bit further. So what we should see is from the knee to the hip, you've got that little bit of an angle there, and then this part of the body is nice and straight. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to bring your thighs and your torso to the ground at the same time. All right, so we're going down. We're going to try and count down for 3 seconds and then 1 second on the way up. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3, and back up. So just try and bring your thighs down a little bit further as you're going down. Let's go again. 1, 2, 3, and then back up again. Other thing as well is you don't want to look too far down to the ground. So we're kind of looking at this part of the mat, in front of the mat. Okay, let's go again. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, this exercise is what we call a banded pull apart. So this is going to be working the back part of our shoulders and our upper back. Very good to improve our posture, because what normally happens if we're sitting down and we're slouching a lot, these muscles become lengthened. So what we want to be able to do is shorten these muscle fibers. So this is a really good exercise for that. So you're going to need a band for this exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our arms right in front, so fully extended. We're going to have our wrists in line with our elbow and our shoulder. All right, so if we grab the band further apart, it's going to make it easier. If we go closer, it's going to make it a little bit easier as well. So what we're trying to do now is we're going to try and aim to get the back of our hands going all the way back, keeping your arms fully straight. Getting that stretch there, and then coming back in slowly. So try and keep your wrists nice and straight, your hands nice and straight. That's it. Going all the way back, and then going back in again. All right, so with the breathing, what we're doing is we're breathing out when we're going back, when we do the contraction. So breathing out, and then breathing in when we're going forwards. 1, 2, 3. Great. We'll do that one more time. So going out, and 3 seconds in. 1, 2, 3. Good job. So this exercise is what we call a banded shoulder press. What we want to do is we want to step inside the bands. The further we keep our feet apart, the harder the exercise is going to be. Then what we're doing, we're bringing our hands and our wrists up to our shoulders. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this band right over the top of our head. All right, so we're going all the way up. So this is the quick part of the movement, and then we're going down slow. So 1, 2, 3, and then back up again. Extending all the way up as far as you can. Good. And the other thing that you want to be able to do, keep going, is you want to be able to bring that tummy in a little bit. So we don't want to arch the back too much when we're doing this. We want to keep a nice neutral spine. Reaching right over the top of the head. Great. So we're going out, breathing out. And then breathing in as we're going down. Do that one more time. Breathing out. And then down for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Very good.
So how many exercises and how many reps should we be doing?
In terms of rep-wise, it's probably more of a higher repetition range as we're starting off with, if you can get to that higher repetition range. The studies out, in terms of building strength and building muscle, the rep ranges can vary from 4 or 5 reps up to 30 reps. So there's the studies out there. It won't matter too much in terms of what rep range you're training at, but it's more so the intensity of it. It's whether you're actually getting to those last couple of reps, which are going to be difficult. For some people, they might struggle to do 30 reps. It might just be too much for them. It's this is a long time. I might just stop this set and I'll do something again the next set. But I would say probably more focusing on that 15 to 20 rep range might be good for someone that might be starting out. But you can change it up a little bit as well. What was the other question you asked about? Was the speed of the reps? Is that right?
Yeah.
So I guess when we're doing a rep, and what is a rep? So a rep is what we call a repetition. So that's each time we're actually doing that particular movement. So for example, a squat, if we're doing 1 rep, it's squatting down and then coming back up. So that's 1 rep. So with a rep, I guess there's different parts of that rep. So for example, if it is the squat, if we're squatting down, so that's called the eccentric part of the movement. So we're just trying to hold the weight. We're trying to hold the weight down and like keeping it against, holding it against gravity. So we're trying to use our muscles to stabilize that. And then there's the isometric part. So that's where we're actually pausing and we're holding it. So if we can in a squat, we might go down slow. So it might be 3 seconds on the way down, and then it's pausing for a second, and it's a bit more explosive on the way up. So it's a bit of a quicker movement. So it might be a 3 to 4 second eccentric part, 1 second for the pause, and then, a second for that contraction part. And I guess another thing to know, how do I know whether I'm contracting a muscle or whether it's the eccentric part? So a simple thing to remember is whenever you're pushing a weight against gravity, so that's the contraction part. So like if you were doing a push-up, let's quiz you guys. If you were doing a push-up, which part do you think would be the contraction part?
The one coming up.
Going
back up.
Going up
Yep.
and stuff. Yep, that's right. So that'll be the contraction part. What about if it was a squat?
Coming
Going
down.
Down.
No, that was a trick. So it's going up as well.
That's
Because you're
true.
pulling against.
Of course, because you're going against
We all
gravity.
made the same
Yeah.
mistake.
Ah.
Funny.
Trick question.
Hey, but there's so much to know and learn from. So clearly, you kind of need a bit of an expert as you start off, and just to give you the right information at the start, particularly at the beginning of your journey, to avoid injury and to make sure that you do the right things. And you meet your goals that you promise to yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people probably hesitate starting, is because they might need to see someone or they need to do some research about it as well. But it definitely outweighs the benefits of doing that research or spending a little bit of money if you've got the money to be able to do it.
Yeah, especially at the start.
That's right.
Well, we're certainly leaving this conversation a lot stronger in our knowledge of strength training, and hopefully we'll all hit the gym and translate that to our bodies. Tim, thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you again next time on G&G Conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. It was great.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Conversations with G&G. We hope today's chat offered some fresh insight and support for your caregiving journey.
If you're looking for more tools, strategies, or just a bit of encouragement, head over to our website. You'll find resources to guide you every step of the way.
Whether you've just started out as a caregiver or you've been caring for a loved one for years, there's something there for you.
Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs it, and join us next month for another real, honest conversation.